am here again. I'm your host, Coffee Iman, the owner and founder of Coffee Magazine. I am here with Talia. She is the senior director of UNCF student and the student professional development programs. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So, before we get into the event that's taking place in the conference, I want to know a little bit more about you. So, you have an incredible academic background, two engineering degrees. Is that correct?
Thank you.
A master's in public administration, multiple national scholarships. What sparked your passion to go above and beyond and achieve for our youth and your career development?
Definitely, getting my undergraduate degrees in engineering was a feat in of itself as a Black female deciding to go into STEM, right? So that was wonderful experience, challenging experience, but I made it through. And but when
Yeah.
I decided to go to graduate school to increase my education, it was really sparked and decided to do a master's in public administration. It was sparked by my desire to do a career shift early on. As a new college grad, I was still within that 5 year span of coming out of college and finding my place in the world, and I experienced some changes in the economic market when I came out of school back in 2000. Within technology, things shifted drastically in 2000 in 2021, and with the 9/11. And this is my first time experiencing what many students experienced in 2008. Many students experienced during our COVID pandemic, just the economic shift and how that can impact a young person coming out of college. But it gave me a great opportunity to think about what was my long-term goals at that point, and I wanted to do a career shift. I wanted to go into work that would help students get what I got, and what I got was a rich youth development experience prior to college. Not only great academics, but also enrichment through mentorship, through my extracurriculars that really helped to shape and hone who I was, who I grew to be, my leadership, and figuring out my long term goals. And one of the areas that I spent a lot of time in, many hours, many years, and leadership growth was in activism. But I did not know how to frame a career there. And so by deciding that I wanted to do a career shift, I went into thinking about working in the public sector to help young people do career development, youth development. And I really wanted to be an advocate for after school programming and enrichment in a meaningful way. And so to make that shift, I knew there had to be an education shift as well. And so deciding, getting actual coaching from a college admissions office around my career goals guided me to the MPA program and not an MBA program because I wanted to work in the public sector. And so that was the drive. I still want to get a doctorate. That's still
I'm still
sitting
with
out
you.
there. Yes.
So, with all that taking place, did you ever feel like it was, or did you ever run into a hurdle that says, this is a lot for me to take on and a lot of responsibility? And if so, how did you handle or redirect yourself?
A lot of responsibility in doing the career shift.
Yes.
Well, it was my passion that really drove me there. It was to me, again, the challenge of getting an undergraduate degree in two
Right.
in engineering let me know what my stock was and let me know what I was really made of, right? Um, I was excited about I kind of knew I wanted to get a graduate degree, but I was kind of excited, going into this space of doing the shift and exploring. 'Cause I had read so much research about college going and where the deficits were with young people, who was getting the money, who wasn't getting the money, what is out there and available for young people. So it was not so much a negative thought of how much work this is going to be. I was excited. I was excited to explore this new part of myself, part of my career. And I reached out and looked for the mentors. I talked to individuals who was actually writing the research that I was reading. I would look at that bibliography and see who contributed to those briefs and papers around financial aid and deficits and the different white papers I was reading. I was reaching out to those organizations to learn more. And at that time, college access was in its birthing space. The idea of a college access or college going resources was in its birthing place as far as coming out of the guidance office, right? And
Okay.
different organizations that were being developed to help students with college going. So it was in its infancy stage, but there was still a lot of research around what the students need to be successful in getting to college, getting scholarships. And so I read a lot, and I reached out to some of those organizations to ask them about my ideas, my interests, and they encouraged me to keep pushing to decide to go into this field. And they saw the value of my story, the value of what I was bringing to the work, and the fact that I had an engineering degree to bring those analytical skills into the work as a whole. So I literally had a virtual mentor, uh, all the way in Boston. I was in Atlanta at the time, all the way in Boston, who coached me through the decisions to go to get the MPA. And I actually found a full scholarship for my MPA when I did my own research to find out how am I going to finance this second degree. And I'm used to getting a full scholarship to college. I had a full ride from Alabama A&M University, and when I got to Georgia Tech, they also gave me a really great financial aid package. So
And
I
you
just
were
wasn't
the
used to
first
paying for
woman,
school,
right?
right?
Yes. So, how important do you think that is to give that to other students or tell them you need to do your research, you need to reach out to these people in order to reach your goals when it comes to that type of situation?
That is a awesome question. I tell students it is mentorship can be the lifeblood of getting that guidance you need for where you want to go. It was mentorship that helped me grow in what I call the 5 areas of achievement. I call them the 5 areas of achievement in academics, my artistic abilities, my athletic ability, my activism ability, and my architectural ability. I have mentors. I was a part of active programs, and these are areas that every student should be thinking about in building themselves up, right? And I had really great mentors. I wrote a whole book about it because I felt like the people who pour into us outside of our immediate family don't get enough recognition for the value of what they bring to helping you think through, identify, discover, develop all these facets of ourselves. And so when it comes to graduating from college, it does not stop. In your career, you need the mentorship. You need to find those individuals who are ahead of you. The same way you would when you're undergraduate student, you're going to look at students who are maybe in your major and they are ahead of you to get some guidance on choosing some classes, making some decisions. Maybe they know about an internship program that you want to be a part of. So, similarly, when you graduate and you're in your career, whether it be at that specific company or organization or just in the industry that you're in, find those individuals who are doing the things that you are interested in. And that's where I found those people. I didn't see those people who were elevated above me when I was in my engineering space as much as I saw it when I made the shift and I found my tribe. I found individuals who were doing work, doing research, informing this space of, college going and helping the minority and underrepresented students with resources. I found those individuals um, in in that industry, and I reached out. I actually made cold calls. We don't have to
Well,
cold
it
call
it
anymore.
is
We
right,
can
it is
we can
different
slide in the
now.
DM. We can DM somebody now.
Well, I
So
like the way you speak about having that drive to people will take that step when it comes to trying to find what pair of shoes someone is wearing, but when it comes
mm,
the idea of education and going beyond that step. And now you represent a organization that does this on a major scale. And I'm glad you mentioned your book as well. Now, does all of these things are these things woven and things you're telling me now into that book, or how did
some
that
of
book
them are.
line? Okay.
Yeah, some of them are. I, it's interesting that I ended up getting a career 11 years at the United Negro College from at UNCF. I did not know I would be at UNCF when I started this journey back in 2002. But when I decided to write my book, I was really looking at my elementary, middle school, and high school story and how that led to getting a full scholarship to college. And so a lot of the nuggets that I'm talking about with mentorship, who are mentors, and looking at yourself, not in a pipeline sense, but actually in a growth sense. We grow into ourselves. And when you graduate from college and get a career, you're going to see that you're going to grow and branch in different directions. And so, in my book, I do touch on a framework that can help a student and really think about even prior to college, how they are utilizing their time outside of the classroom and within the classroom, but outside of the classroom to develop their what I call the 5 areas of achievement. Are you developing yourself academically? Do you want to become an academician? Do you want to have a career that requires you to have higher and higher levels of academic success and achievement? Going to that doctorate, MD, JD, PhD, EDD. You know, there's so many. Okay, but
Yes.
but but a student can literally be it gets them excited. Learning gets them excited, and they can learn and grow and be that analytic, that academic individual. Are you growing yourself athletically? Not just as an athlete, but maybe you just everybody just needs some level
Right,
of a fitness, right?
right.
And then we have artistic spaces. We also have activism spaces. So my activism space, what I didn't realize was my biggest, largest, highest, deepest level of engagement. I started out, in the NAACP as a little NAACPer in my local city and in my chapter, and I grew myself because I enjoyed that organization. I enjoyed what I was learning. I enjoyed the social aspect, the being with students who were my age as a middle schooler and also high school, and I grew through mentorship, through guidance, but we all who are part of that really grew into great leaders. And we learned what it meant to be a leader. We practiced those leadership skills in every activity that we were guided to do, a fundraiser, a political action rally, a voter registration drive. We were always learning how to lead, right? And we were learning about our culture and learning about what it meant to be a good community, a good member of your community, right? And
Well, learning
so,
I don't mean to cut you off, but
no,
learning all of that, you show you have that drive and you seems like you're taking each step from areas of your life and you're applying it here. So how does that legacy and all your leadership transform or translate for these 15-year celebration? Like how
yeah,
has that encouraged
of
you or
UNCF.
yes.
Yes. So our student leadership conference at UNCF is been established for now. This particular student leadership conference has been established now for about 16 years. The first actual student leadership conference was in 2010, preceded my time at UNCF. And it was just two internship programs of cohorts of students. And it has grown to now serving, we're having our largest uh, group of students who will be traveling here to DC. 122 students will be on site preparing themselves to be standout interns and early career professionals that are graduated from college and they're going into their first job. And so all of that work, all of that that drive that I had as a high schooler, as a college student, leader, it has truly manifested and transformed into the work that we are doing and embedding now in the next generation. So remember, my passion is opening opportunities for young people to find their area of success, the thing that's going to get them to the next level. And it's going to be different for different students. So not
So
everything is going to
it
be
will
STEM.
is it happening this year at this conference that you're having those real world simulations? And if so,
Yes.
how is that happening?
Yes, our student leadership conference, the goal of it is to make sure that students enter into that internship space or that new career with confidence, that they are actually ready to sit in the boardroom, sit in those team meetings, and contribute with confidence, getting rid of imposter syndrome, letting their leadership, their talent come through, learning how to collaborate and work with others. And so we're actually going to be doing a business simulation with
Mhm.
students. And think about it, they're coming to this conference for the first time. They will be meeting people for the first time. And it's similar to what happens when you take on a new job. You are
Yeah.
going into that company blind. You may not know anyone there, and you're going to be becoming a part of a team, and you're going to have to get to know your team. So we are actually simulating for them what they are going to experience when they leave us this weekend and head off to their internships and their new jobs. And they're going to practice team building. They're going to practice learning their how to bring their leadership style forward and how to interpret and understand the leadership styles of others. We're also going to talk about stress and mental health management, and making sure that we actually begin with that conversation, because mental health is very important and you have to be able to be healthy physically and mentally, to be at your top performance when you are working in whatever field you decide to work in. So we talk about those tools that you can put into your toolkit to ensure that you are establishing good habits for mental health, and tools to deal with stress as it may come, because it will come either from the job or from your personal life. But you got to be able to manage that. We talk about communication skills, the art of negotiation. We're also going to be talking about finances and what does it mean to now have this really high paying internship position or even first job. How do you plan your finances effectively, not only for the summer, but a 5 year financial strategy? What are the important things that students should be thinking about in their finances when they graduate from college? So we are really truly equipping young people to not only be standout interns, but to be really high performing early career professionals.
Now, with this training, are they receiving like some resources after the fact, or are they would they be able to check back in and say, I really love this section. How can I find out more information or
Yes.
how to do XYZ?
So most of our students who are attending, they came through one of the UNCF Student Professional Development Program internship opportunities. And so they have a direct line back to UNCF once they head out to their internship. Every summer, not only do we just send them off, we also check in. We're checking in with them, and we're also checking in with their supervisors at the organizations that they who have partnered with UNCF to put on this wonderful conference and to put on this internship program, and who have hired these young people. So we want to check in with them as well. So they always have an opportunity to reach out to us to give us a call, and we are going to check in with them midstream to ensure that everything is working out good, that they are finding their space. If they have questions, because again, we are that third party, we're not their supervisor, we're that
Right.
coach, we're that mentor. So they have us available to make sure that they have it's a line of support. We always encourage students that once they get established in their position and they know who their supervisor is, to seek out again a non-supervisory mentor that understands their position, understands their projects, and could just provide them a listening ear that they can run questions by outside of their regular touch points with their actual supervisor. We want them just to be able to really have that confidence of knowing of themselves, but then knowing what resources are around them that can help support them in their newfound position.
One thing I've heard you say a lot, which you said from the beginning, is mentorship. And I think that is major even when it's coming to life lessons outside of school. And of course, you learn it on either level. So you're coming from either corporate and nonprofit. How can a student find a mentor that fits them? Like what are three things that they should look for, or whatever tips you have to make sure that that mentor is aligned with them?
That's a very good question. I think it again starts with knowing either where they are and what goals they're looking for and achieve. So thinking forward, a little bit forward from where you are. And it could just be, what are my goals for this summer? What are my goals for the first year of work? Or what are my real career aspirations, right? Um, and then what that individual that you might see that's in a position, looking for somebody who may already be in a position that is attractive to or aligned with where you're trying to go with your career. And now here's an example. One of my mentors that actually helped me get my position at UNCF, I met him at an education conference, and he was an engineer. He had a bachelor's and master's in engineering, but he also had a PhD in education. And he was a vice president at the United Negro College Fund. And since his background was physics, I really, really was intrigued that he was had a PhD in education, or sorry, an EDD in education, and he was working at UNCF. He made the transition like I did. I was, wow, I have to know this person. He's like my Yoda, you know? And so I took the opportunity to introduce myself. And he was excited to meet another fellow engineer and who working in education at that time. And he became a really great mentor, not just because of his career space, but we found we had similar values. So we had the similar faith. So we had other areas in which we connected as professionals that really honed in on this being a good mentorship, relationship. And I could bounce ideas off. We would set time. This person has to have some time. Not every person can be a mentor if they are really, really high level sometimes and they don't have that extra space.
Mhm.
So not even though they may be on the right path that you're interested in working in, it's do they have time to actually serve in a mentor capacity? Okay. And
Yeah.
sometimes you may have to talk to two or three individuals before you really find that best fit. But know that even if somebody cannot be a mentor, that dedicated person that really is giving of themselves towards your development, and you as an individual are also um giving and being a good mentee.
Mhm.
You may just some people serve a different role. They just could be more of a educational coach. They could just give you advice in certain aspects of your career. They may not be that regular person that you meet with once a month or once a quarter. So know that one of my mentors, we only touched base when I had major shifts, but I
Mm.
credit her. I credit her tremendously because when I would reach out, she responded, and she knew I was. She would welcome my questions. She would welcome any guidance she could offer me at that time. So we had she mentored me virtually for about 7 years before we actually met in person. But she helped me through that initial deciding to get the MPA, applying to my first that fellowship program, the National Urban Fellows Program. Any
Mhm.
student who's interested in getting a MPA and you are a person of color or a woman, I look at National Urban Fellows as a great opportunity. Okay. I always plug my they gave me a graduate degree, but she helped me think through that application. Then when I had my first job, outside of my internships, she helped me like now tweak the resume. I have a technical resume because I was an engineer. How
So
do I,
someone
you
available
know,
is important.
yes,
Yeah. Someone
yes.
available, someone who's where you want to be, is what I hear you saying, and then,
And shares your val and shares
and
and some
shares
some
your
some
value.
shared values.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So, 2 things. Parents will probably wanna be involved and figure out, "Okay, now how can I get my student aligned with UNCF, or how can I make sure they attend the conference next year?" Also, where they can pick up your book. So, the students may
A book
want
is
that as
not a
well,
book is not out a book is not out just yet.
okay.
But if you wanna
Let's
read
put more
about it,
pressure on you just a little.
yeah. It's coming.
Okay.
But if you wanna look at it online, just learn about it, you can go to iamworththeinvestment.com, real easy.
Will do.
iamworththeinvestment.com. But when you think about really wanting to be connected with UNCF as a student, you want to go to opportunities.uncf.org. Opportunities.uncf.org. That is our portal. Okay. That is where you find every scholarship, every internship or fellowship program that UNCF offers. You do not have to attend a UNCF member school or an HBCU to actually, benefit from some of our programs. But the majority of our programs do go to students who are attending HBCUs, because we are the advocate, not only in making sure that students get to and through, but we were founded as the chief of support, for funding for our 37 member institutions. And so, but we want to make sure that students know that you can attend an HBCU, you can attend a UNCF HBCU, or you can attend a majority school and still benefit, from our programs. The majority of the internship programs we offer, through my department, offer the Student Leadership Conference as a part of the program. So when you're
Okay.
accepted into the internship opportunity, it will come, generally with an opportunity to attend our student leadership conference. So I think I might only have one internship program that doesn't include, the SLC or the student leadership conference, but the majority of them do. We also have some scholarship programs, that the scholarship provider, while the students get the scholarship, they also get a chance to come to the student leadership conference. So, Colgate, for example, is, one of our scholarship programs, and they have sponsored their students to attend. We had, the Becton Dickinson, also sponsored our student leadership conference, and we were able to get 5 other students in. And they came right through our network of applicants who have been a part of our programs. So we just want to make sure that you plug into UNCF, apply to a scholarship, apply to an internship opportunity, and you may be able to be with us in 2026.
Yeah, because
So
we're doing the conference is this weekend.
it's
So
this week.
do
Yes.
but, Talia has given you a lot of information to research. Research is big with Talia,
It's
so you
big.
do it, and you need to start looking for that mentor as well as checking out the site and the portal for UNCF. And then she names a plethora of scholarships available. So if you have done the research, you should be receiving something.
Exactly.
So do the work.
Yes,
Um,
the money doesn't fall out the sky, okay? I need to let students
and they
know
think so. This is
you have to
2025. They
do
think it's falling from the sky.
it's not falling from the sky. And, you hear about that student who got this number of scholarships, and they got this, and they
Mm,
applied.
they
They
apply.
actually did the application. So you can't shy away from that part of the effort and the work. You really have to do the application, read the criteria. If it applies to you, apply. You never know. Don't take yourself out of the game because you think you might not get it. You'd be surprised that many students, believe that I'm not going to get this, and they don't even. You're
They don't
already at
apply,
no,
yeah.
so why not go ahead and apply? And we want to see you in our applications. We want to know that you're out there and that you're interested, and we're here to help make sure you get to college and through college and
Oh,
onto a lucrative and positive career.
well, I appreciate you visiting us today. If you could leave us with your favorite quote or quote that can lead people into being motivated into going on this journey of research, what would it be?
Well, one of the things we talk about is, making sure that you, put your best foot forward. Know that what you give will come back to you. So I kind of leave students a lot of times with my personal saying that, my name is Talia Givens. It means God's due, and I live every day trying to live up to my last name, which is Givens, given to serve. So doing this work is a pleasure, and it lets me serve others. And I hope that through the service that we provide, through the words that we have discussed today, that you are inspired to serve someone else. You never know how your service can come back and boomerang back to you.
Sounds like motivation to me. Thank you so much for taking time out. Again, make sure you
Thank
visit
you.
everything that UNCF has to offer. The senior director, Miss Talia Gibbons, is giving you a word of mentorship and motivation. So thank you again for joining us.